All right, we are looking again at the ASUS EVGA Custom. Just working on cleaning up these two front fans here. It's kind of the last piece. I found a little more glass that I had to vacuum out stuck in these fans. But once this is done, we can start reassembling and getting everything back in order. And then we just have to clean out the EVGA graphics card, which is pretty dusty. But then we can plug a hard drive in and see if this will boot. All right, so much cleaner front of case here. Couldn't get everything off, but for the most part got that clean. Also kind of straightened this bar out a little bit. Obviously it's still pretty bent, but it's workable enough. I can slide the inserts in and out, so installing drives, if that's what I choose to do, should be pretty easy. So now we'll focus on putting the case back together. First thing we're going to do is pull the cooler again to put some fresh grease in there, reinstall the RAM, and then we'll clean up the video card and throw a hard drive in it. All right, so we're getting stuff put back in here. We've got the power supply in and we're getting plugs back in it. And I was looking over the board, and of course we had our one USB connector which is shot, which no big deal. But then I noticed there's a USB connector there, and there's also this USB connector. And curiously, I don't see any other spot on the board for that to plug in. So your guess is as good as mine, but as far as I can tell, there is no other way to get power to whatever this ends up hooking up to. So one of these sets of USB ports or the multi-card reader just isn't going to be functional. And as far as I can tell, there's no add-on to the power supply that specifically controls or powers that. So I guess we'll just have to see what parts of the machine do and don't work when we're done. All right, so we've got a little bit of a tangled web, but it's actually not too bad when you consider the case overall. We've got 4 hard drives in here. I got 2 laptop style drives and 2 full hard disks, all SATA of course. I did hook up the Blu-ray drive, and I've yet to tease out exactly what is powered by what, but as far as I can tell, it looks like the front SATA should be okay. I do think the USB connector on the top is the one that got ripped. And then the other plugs, honestly, I'm not sure. I think the multi-reader is the one that's not plugged in, and the USB is the one that is. So we'll see, but I think I've got that at least somewhat figured out. All we have left to plug in is the power for the graphics card, which we still have to take apart and clean, because look at that dust. Pretty nasty, and it looks like actually there's still a sticker on it. So I'm going to peel that sticker as well and go ahead and get this thing fired up so we can see if any one of these 4 hard drives is bootable. There's one solid state. I'm hoping that's a good boot drive. It's over 500 gigs, so that would be great for a boot. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Okay, so in the process of cleaning, unfortunately, we lost 2 fan blades. They were actually already cracked at the base, but I don't think that's going to cause enough of an issue on this card where we have to be worried about it. Let's just plug it in and see what happens. All right, and with that, this is as cleaned up as I think it's going to get. I'm a little bummed I broke 2 of the prop fans, but that's okay. Everything else is hooked up, and by rights, everything should work just fine. I got out all of the glass. I found a few more pieces even as I was still reassembling. I'm just going to make sure all of the pin connectors for the panel are in okay. They seem to be just fine. I guess all that's left now is to plug it into a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and power, and see if we've got a booting machine. Cross your fingers. All right, here it is, the moment of truth, which you've all been waiting for, to see if this smashed up case and all its components would still be workable when all this was said and done. Let's see. Not sure. I'm honestly not sure what button's the power button here. That's a challenge with a case like this I've never seen before. Reset button. I assume that this one up here is our main power button. Huh, that's interesting. It leads me to believe that this USB cable here that we have plugged in, actually, we need that other one plugged in to run the power. So let's swap that and try again. All right, second try here. Still nothing. Okay, that's kind of a bummer, but I noticed there's a power button actually on the board, and again, nothing there. So that's really a bummer because I put a lot of work into this. So we're going to go ahead and do a little troubleshooting, see what we can figure out. All right, so I think what we ended up having was a bum power supply, which I'm kind of bummed about because this is a really nice power supply. This might be one worth opening up and trying to repair later. So we're going to keep it for now. As far as everything else looks in here, I fortunately have backup supplies, just like the astronaut and rocket man played by Harlan Williams. Lots of backup supplies. This one's about 150 watts shorter on power, but overall we're not running too much extra. There's still quite a bit of available power here, so hopefully this runs okay. I guess at this point all we have left to do is plug this power supply in and give it a shot. So gonna need an extra hand, and then before I turn it on, we'll switch back the camera. Okay, power cord is plugged in, switch is on. Now we've got lights to the board, so I do think our power supply was dead. I'm not going to be leaving the cables like this, of course, and mount the power supply eventually. But first I want to make sure everything works. The keyboard down off the top of the tower. Try our big power button. Alright, so far so good. We've got fan action. Memory tested okay. Fans in front. I don't see any power to them. That's something we can figure out later. And monitor's green, and I want to go right into BIOS. Hopefully I was fast enough. Don't know if I was. Still set up F1. Okay, so we did get into the BIOS. So since that's working, I know it's not ideal, but we're going to move this case to the floor so we have a little bit extra room to see the screen. Alright, so first things first, let's turn off the flash. Sorry, I've been meaning to do that for a while now. But it looks like CMOS needs to be recovered. It's showing 2005, which is odd because the build date is 5/9 of 11, but that's okay. Got the Intel Core i7 2600K, 3.4 gigahertz, DDR3 at 1333, got 16 gigs. CPU temperature is running at a nice 98.6. Looks like we've got pretty good readings across the board. Again, the case fans in front here are not running, so that'll be something we'll have to look into once we get power restored. Although, as far as I can tell, everything looks pretty good. Now it's just a matter of boot priority. So we've got a couple of different disks. The crucial, I know, is that's the one that is the solid state. So we've got 4 hard drives installed, and it is reading all 4, so that's encouraging. Let's go ahead and try the solid state. I see we've got Windows. I think, is this Windows 8 that had this goofy little window load screen? I guess we'll find out, won't we? So what we'll end up doing is probably just looking at all the hard drives, determining what Windows is installed on each one, and then pick the best. Ideally, I'd like to use the solid state because it should be the fastest booting hard drive, although so far seems a little bit on the slow side, but that's okay. Again, this is just kind of a miracle that this system really honestly is even working at all, let alone only needing a power supply of all things. So, and who knows, maybe this power supply just has a bad cap and we throw a capacitor in it and it's good to go. It does kind of looks like maybe that looks like a cap there that's kind of at a goofy angle. I don't know. Could have a blown cap in it. I've definitely blown a few caps in some power supplies in my day. Doing some disk checking, and it's going ultra quick. Which is good. If you recall from the ASUS Tower video, disk checking took a while. So again, we've got 3 standard mechanical hard drives and 1 solid state. We are trying to boot from the solid state, so ideally, we're hoping that this will be our best boot option. If it is Windows 8, that's encouraging because it's fairly modern. It would definitely be something we could work with and upgrade. It looks like disk F, whichever one that is, it's a larger drive. It needs a little work, but it's going pretty quick. Again, this is some pretty good juice to it, and we know the graphics card works because we're hooked up DVI to this monitor right now through the graphics card, and this one of course has a soundbar, which is kind of neat. It's not going to show off the skills of this graphics card, of course, because it is just a crappy Dell monitor I got at the local thrift store for $3, but $3 for a monitor is honestly not bad overall. Especially one with high def hookup. So, and this actually looks like it's got pretty nice colors, so I can't complain too much. What I do know is the lights on the case here are pretty dim, so that's a little disappointing. And I don't know, I'm honestly not sure if this toggles lights or what that does. I don't know enough about this case, so if anybody knows about these Trooper cases, I'd be very interested to learn what all they do. But I'm also not sure if our multi-reader is going to work because I don't know which is hooked up to the board. But our Blu-ray disc drive does appear to be functional, so that's really great. Alright, so everything's really quiet. I was kind of expecting the system to be super loud, especially with the condenser right on the top, but everything seems to be pretty good working shape, and just ultra quiet, especially compared with the ASUS Tower. So what does that mean for ASUS Tower, I guess, is anybody's guess at this point. Just going through the disk fixing, I think I'm going to let it just ride. But the cool thing is we know that this tower does boot, which is awesome. I'm very, very excited about that. Again, this one was just shattered glass and bits and pieces, so really fortunate it works at all, to be quite honest. Just a forecast of what we're going to be looking at next while we're waiting. Let's cut over to our next project. Alright, here's my little recycler bucket. This is one I take with me every time for just odds and ends. We've got a complete computer. We've got the power supply and the motherboard with everything on board attached to it. That's going to be a little mystery surprise we're going to make, and I'm hoping to eventually build a case for that. And then right next to it is another gaming PC. Maybe not quite as fancy as this Trooper case, but it is a higher end PC and it has some pretty good stuff with it. I'm going to leave that as a mystery for you guys for right now. But I think because we found this Beach Boys tape in this Trooper case, we might have to find a Beach Boys name for this. I'm not a Beach Boys fan, but, just to be cheeky. All right, we've gotten through disk checking and we're getting devices ready. Just waiting to see if this will actually fire up to Windows. I can report happily that to date, No awkward sounds or anything from the case, so everything seems to be working. Owner password's incorrect. So that means we may have to backdoor our way into this one, which is no big issue, but let's just try. Okay. So, solid state works, which is great. We'll test out the other hard drives to see what they boot to, but we'll end up having to backdoor into this one and unlock it, open it up, and we've got ourselves a working, very competitive modern PC. If you enjoyed these EVGA ASUS videos, I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, click the notification icon to stay up to date with all of my videos. I try to put out as much content as I can. Obviously, limited supplies, have to go back and forth to the recycler here, but I do have some really good stuff coming up, including a couple of projects I want to do custom case builds on. I think are going to be really fun. If you liked the video, hit that like button for me. It does give me warm fuzzies. And drop me a comment if you have any comments, questions, or anything you want to say about this video or any of my others. And as always, have a great rest of your day.